conservative? Do you have little to no experience when it comes to rioting or looting, but you'd like to learn more? Well, congratulations. You've just landed at the CramerSez College for Community Violence, where our huge staff of experienced community agitators will teach you everything that they know about turning your community upside down. We'll have you mostly peaceful protesting in no time at all. How? Well, here's a sneak peek at Lesson 1.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
You got to be ready to throw a punch. You have to be ready to throw a punch.
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
I feel like punching him.
I think I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school. If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him. No, I wish we were in high school, I could take him behind the gym.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Take him out now.
Okay.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
And you push back on them, and you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Please, get up in the face of some Congress people.
People will do what they do.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
We're going to go in there, we're going to...
Well, this is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. And for those of you who are soldiers, make them pay.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
You're watching CramerSez.
Welcome. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez Project. Do you want to get signed up for our college? We're going to get you all taken care of and learn on how to do violence on your fellow man. That's the Democrats. That's the Democrats leading into 2020. You remember the rhetoric leading into 2020? That it was okay to punch a Nazi, that it was okay to do all that shit? Well, folks, that is going to come back to haunt them. It's going to come back to haunt them. Welcome to the show. My name is Kramer. This is CramerSez Project. It's Tuesday, December 16th. Our special guest tonight is Ivan Raiklin. He's a D.C. attorney, a J6 defender, otherwise known as a patriot. He is working diligently to get Tina Peters out of the clutches of the deep state and into the federal government, the protection of the federal government, so she can give what she knows about what happened in 2020. Trump said the other day that we're getting a lot closer to getting information out. But he's been saying that for a while. So here we are. Folks, Democrats have been telling us who they are. And I've got a simple rule that I live by, and that rule is this. When people tell me how they're going to harm me, how they're going to hurt me, how they're going to displace me, I believe them. I take them at their word. You should too. When they say that it's all right to do all that stuff to you, you should assume that it's all right for you to do it back to them. It doesn't make you a racist. It doesn't make you a misogynist. It doesn't make you anything other than an American returning the favor. Democrats have told you the future that they want for you. They continue to tell you that. Tonight we'll be talking to Ivan Raiklin about what he thinks is going to happen, where we're headed next in the deep state and so on. Folks, we've got a bunch of people, a bunch of big names asking the exact same things all at the same time. I want you to imagine for just a moment that you walked into a meeting hall or a church or a pub back in 1774, 1775, and you happened to walk up on a group of gentlemen that were, sitting there talking about the issues of the day. And those men were George Washington or Ben Franklin or Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Patrick Henry, Alexander Hamilton. Take your pick. These are the men sitting at the table. What are they talking about? What issues do you think are important to them when they start reasoning in their mind where they are and what's going to happen next? You see, men eventually realize that the status quo is taking them in a new direction when they feel that the status quo is taking them in a new direction. They know that because the status quo doesn't change, folks. And when suddenly the status quo changes, we are going someplace else. We're not staying where we are. When we're told that men can be women and women can be men and men can have babies and you're just going to have to accept it and you need to use their pronouns, and if you don't, you're going to be in trouble, and if you pray in front of an abortion clinic, you're going to jail. If you say something offensive based on somebody's religion other than Christianity, That one's a gimme. Everybody gets to make fun of it. But if you want to do that, you're going to go to jail. Folks, that's the new direction they're moving us in. We talked last night to Connie Shaw from the FSU, the Free Speech Union in Great Britain. And what did she say? She said, everything that you've heard is not nearly as bad as it is. Does that make sense? It's far worse than you're hearing. We're not hearing what's going on in Great Britain. They're not letting it leak out. They're locking up 10 to 12,000 people a year for what they post on social media. You think that won't happen here? Did you see what happened during COVID? Did you watch what happened during COVID? How fast everything changed, your rights, the rules changed. Folks, do you think that just because Trump is in office right now, this moment, that can happen again? That we can't go back into the darkness? We can't go back to where we were? Absolutely. And Democrats they're demanding it. They want Trump impeached. They want anything but Trump. So we go back to this imagination of ours, and we look back at the men that talking around this table, Ben Franklin and George Washington and the rest of them. And I'm not a mind reader, right? I don't have any special powers of time travel, but I can only imagine, based on what they wrote, and more importantly, what they did, what their conversation sounded like. I would just have to imagine that they sounded something like this.
Come on, dude. We're moving toward one of two endpoints. One is a totalitarian society where you don't have the option of disagreeing. You have to obey because you've got programmable digital currency and universal surveillance, and you just have to do what they say or they'll starve you to death.
It's not going to work here.
I hope it. I pray it doesn't.
It's not going to work.
We're going to have a revolution. It's one of the two. We're getting totalitarian government or revolution.
It's going to work for a little bit, and then it's not going to work anymore.
I pray you're right. I'm a gold buyer on that basis, an ammo buyer, but I have no track record of seeing the future, but I'm convinced that the current course won't work because it's a lie. If you tell people they own the government, they're in charge, they rule through the representatives in this democratic republic, that's what we've told, that's our system, has been for 250 years. If you tell them that's the system and you don't deliver on it, they go crazy. They go totally crazy. If you tell them, by the way, I've spent a lot of time in
What do you think happens when a government takes everybody's currency in a country that has more fucking guns and ammunition than anywhere else in the entire world?
I mean, as I've said a million times,
it works for a little bit. And then when the desperation kicks in, that shit doesn't fucking work.
Well, so that's exactly, we're saying the same thing. We're moving toward totalitarianism or revolution, violent revolution. By the way, if you tell people they can't say what they think and their vote doesn't matter, how many options have you left them? Just one. Violence.
Very fucking many.
That's right. So don't do that. Don't do that. It's much better to give a little. And you do this with your kids, especially when they become teenagers. You reach a point where it's like, you can smell the defiance on them. How do I handle this? Just punch them in the face? Cut them off? Starve them out? No. You listen. You make it clear that you're in charge. You'll be deciding. But you take their position into consideration because you have to, because they're becoming adult. You have to be a little flexible. No, you can't smoke weed at the breakfast table. Like, there's some things you will never accept. But you can't ignore every single signal you're getting from your children. Well, your population's very similar.
I'm getting really angry right now.
Why?
I think we should go. I think we should go out back and blow some shit.
Sorry.
Where do we go from here? So,
well, it's always darkest before it's completely black, as you know. Sorry, I'm stealing someone else's line, but I do like that line. I don't know. I mean, clearly just in political terms, we're at the end of something and the beginning of something new. And no one wants change. I don't, but we're not in control. And the current system clearly doesn't match the moment at all. And so it's changing, and it'll change along probably predictable lines, but also in some unpredictable ways. But I'm for democracy. Most people are not. The overwhelming majority of people don't want democracy. They just don't want it. They don't like it. It's tedious and annoying and too imperfect, and they want results. And so we're moving towards something that is not what we had before. And, I'm not in favor of that. I wish we could return to 1985, but we can't. So But you have to just reduce the amount of lying. Like, lying is bad. Lying is bad. It alienates you from other people. It alienates their leaders from their people they lead. Everything about it is bad. Just no more. Let's just stop lying.
I don't think they can. I don't think either side can. I think that the system is so corrupt that they can't. And we are on this path. We're not stopping, folks. Have you seen what Great Britain is doing now? They want war with Russia. Europe wants war with Russia. As I've been telling you over the last few weeks, we and Russia are the only ones standing in the path of what the globalists have in mind. Putin is never going to do it. He'll continue to fight until all of his people are gone. He's not going to join. Russia will not join the globalist cabal. We've got people inside this country that are fighting like hell to make sure that we do. Trying to weaken not only Trump, but you and I on every angle possible. Every possible way that they can pull the rug out from underneath, this is what they're trying. Whether it be the economy, whether it be culture wars, whether it be DEI, ESG, any way that they can suck value out of this nation by making us dumber, slower, and more incapable of doing the job, then they're going to do it. Do you think that putting all these dumb people in places of power was done to make our country stronger? No, it's just the opposite. You put the dumbasses in charge and you get where we are. And then if you say anything about it, you're a racist or a misogynist. No. Folks, I got to tell you this. Somebody told me, well, if you're against DEI, you're a racist. Really? It was fat white women that benefited most from DEI than anybody else. Go look at your HR departments. You tell me who they are, who they're made up of. You see a bunch of black men or black women in those places? No, those are fat white women. Every time almost. And a lot of them named Karen. And if they're not named Karen, they sure act like one. Well, we did that to the entire planet. We put HR in charge of the entire planet. We let them do their fucking stupid rules, and here we are. Now, what Sean and Tucker said is true. We're at a crossroads, folks. If you don't realize that, and you think that what I'm saying is just fear porn and hyperbole, you don't understand where we are. You don't get where we are in history right now. The reason I gave the analogy of imagining a conversation between George Washington and Alexander Hamilton sitting around a bar or a fireplace talking about the issues of the day. Do you think that it sounded any different then than it sounds now? These are our new founding fathers. These are the men that we're going to go back and look at their records to see what they saw. Do you remember the founding documents? It's not just the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and all of that. No, it's the Federalist Papers. So many smart people online have all the knowledge in the world, have not read the Federalist Papers. They have no idea what our founding fathers said about Christ and God and the importance of that in our nation. So yes, we are a Christian nation. We were founded on Christian principles. Did all of those men live up to those principles 100%? Absolutely not. They're men, but no man does. You see, the Democrats like to put a standard up that nobody's ever lived up to. How do I know that? Well, Bill Clinton got a blowjob in the Oval Office, or a little office off to the side of it. That's how I know. We've got men and women that are scared shitless about being listed on the Epstein list. Just flying on the plane with the dude. That's how toxic he is. That's how I know. Things haven't changed since the days of Rome, folks. If you guys are looking for the perfect man, you're not going to find him. Somebody said the other day, oh, Kramer, you should run for office. You're perfect. Absolutely not. Most people are scared because they have skeletons in their closets. I don't have skeletons. Mine haven't decomposed yet. They're still fucking sitting there. Folks, we are in a situation in this nation where we're going to have to make a decision on what we do next. And talking with Ivan Raiklin, he's our special guest tonight, Raiklin rather. I keep doing that. I've got a buddy named Raiklin, and I keep calling him Ivan Raiklin. It's not. It's Raiklin. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that. Ivan, don't get pissed off at me. But Ivan alludes to it, to exactly what Tucker and Sean are saying here. We don't have any choices, folks. You realize where we're going, right? Trump is doing his best to do what he can, or he's part of it. I mean, that's how deep the game is played at this point. People go, oh, what'd you say? Well, listen, folks, I hope to God that tomorrow night's announcement at 9 o'clock from Trump is something about looking back at all the sin that we know they committed, but they have not yet been held accountable for. I hope that's what he's talking about. If it's something about a tariff or something other stupid about, I don't give a shit anymore. I'm past it. This nation cannot move forward without looking back. We have to hold these people accountable. The people that are trying to take this whole planet over. I know it sounds crazy. When I say it, it sounds crazy. Globalist cabal. It sounds like something out of a James Bond movie. But it's not. These people are real, and they're trying to destroy your life. They've been trying a long, long time, and they're not going to stop. Why? Because they've leveraged it. They've monetized it. Their whole livelihood is around what happens next. They have no concept of looking back. They do not want to look back. They're only looking forward. They're moving forward, and they're pushing all of us with them. Some people go, well, why do you question Trump like that? Because he's my president. I have the authority to do that. He worked for me. If you're all in and you're not questioning Trump, then you're part of the problem. I question everybody. They're my employees. I don't trust them. I don't care who they are or what they promised. I don't trust any of them. They've got my money in their pocket. I've been ripped off before. Call me jaded. We'll be right back after this.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views.
From the halls of Congress,
across the nation,
and around the globe.
You're getting the latest news and conservative views.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views.
CramerSez returns after this message from our partners.
They lied about it. They tried to hide it.
It was 100% unconstitutional. That's what we were saying in 2024.
I could have sworn that yesterday we learned that the FBI tapped my phone.
And today the NLPC has been vindicated by Senator Grassley's document dump, revealing Jack Smith illegally and unconstitutionally spied on American citizens.
Jack Smith spied on members of the United States Senate. What is this, East Germany?
Grassley's document dump has revealed that Jack Smith's team illegally seized call logs from Ron Johnson, Lindsey Graham, Mike Lee, and Josh Hawley in the unconstitutional 2023 Arctic Frost Probe.
From the outset, we said Jack Smith's appointment was unconstitutional. A federal judge vindicated that view. Now we see the connection between unconstitutional prosecutions and illegal evidence gathering.
The NLPC has been on top of this story from the beginning. Follow or subscribe to the NLPC on this platform for more. Or visit the National Legal and Policy Center at nlpc.org.
To learn more about the CramerSez Project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it,
please visit thecramersezproject.com.
You're watching CramerSez.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez Project. We are building a grassroots news service. That's what this whole thing is all about. We want to do what they do in the mainstream media, but at the grassroots level. It's possible. The technology is here. As they said in the $6 Million Man, we have the technology. We can build him. It's the same thing now, today. We have the ability to create our own networks. And I'm not talking about social media networks. I'm talking about full-blown networks. The capability of being anywhere and reporting from anywhere and getting news from anywhere. It's now easier today than it's ever been. There's no reason that we can't have a grassroots version of what they're doing in Washington, D.C. So that's what we're trying to do. We're not asking for anything from you at this point. We need people. What I mean by that is we need people that know how to do news and want to do this on a grassroots level. That's it. We're trying to make it free. We're going to see how we can leverage it and monetize it. We haven't got to the point yet where we've figured that out 100%. But if you're interested in helping us deliver the news on a daily basis, whether it be local news from your area or national news, big stories that are going on, that's what we want to do. Now, I've been told before that, oh, that's impossible, Kramer. I have achieved everything that everybody told me was impossible to do. Every time. It's not impossible, it's just hard. Most people don't want to do what's hard. They want to do what's easy. So that is our mission. That's what we are on. If you get the opportunity, please go over and look at what we're doing and what we're looking for and see if you can help us at thecramersezproject.com. That's thecramersezproject.com. Folks, one of the things that I want to push tonight is that we are really at a precipice. And I don't think you understand that fully. Everybody's talking about it behind the scenes, but secretly they think that if they just hope enough, and they wish enough, and they pray enough, and they lean into the wind the right way enough that things will change and go back to normal. It's being naive. It's not going back to normal. Sean Ryan and Tucker Carlson talked about in our last segment is 100% true. We are at a point where we have to make a decision on where we're going to take this nation. Are we going to accept it for the totalitarianism that the totalitarian society that they want to push on us? Or do we want freedom? Nobody's coming to save us. You realize that, right? There's no Q. There's no white hats. There's no army. We can't even count on the military to do their job here. Everything is so jaded. Everything is sideways. If you had told me when I was a kid that America would be in this position today, I would say you're crazy, that you're anti-American, that you don't know what you're talking about. But we're here, regardless. You have to start wrapping your head around the fact that if you don't start screaming loud right now and tell these men and women in power that we're coming for you, when all of this turns sideways, when everything goes, dark and the lights go out, we're coming for you. We're not going to D.C. We're not going to worry about that. We're going to go for the people in our communities that made this happen, that didn't fight for us, that didn't stand up for us, and robbed us blind. We're coming for you first. You see, this is what our founding fathers did. It's the language of our founding fathers. Are you making threats against people? Only if the lights go out. Things go sideways and I can't feed my family. I can't keep a roof over my head. Yeah. I think you guys should get used to the fact that Americans are going to drag other Americans out of their home and kill them in the front lawn. That's coming. Both from the left and from the right. You think I'm crazy? You think I'm being hyperbolic? You think I'm just trying to spread fear porn? That's what this conversation between Sean Ryan and Tucker Carlson was about. Do you understand? Are you reading between the lines? We are on the brink, folks. And we're not talking about years down the road. We're talking weeks and months potentially. If you listen to what the left is saying and what they're ready to do, didn't we just hear about a report where a bunch of leftists, because of Palestine and Gaza, want to go blow you up on New Year's Eve? They just stopped that one, but that's just one. And they've been radicalized. They've been told that it's okay. Punch a Nazi. Kill whoever you want. Your mission is so important that you can justify anything. That's what they're telling themselves in their head. They're justifying it. 24% of Democrats believe that it's okay to use political violence to meet a political end. Only 3% of the conservatives believe the same. What do you think is going to happen? Who do you think is going to pull that trigger first? We know exactly what's going to happen. So with that being said, we should start talking in the language of our founding fathers, and more importantly, the language that bullies understand. Do you know what that is? If you do this, I'm going to kill you. If you take down this road, I'm coming to your house and I'm going to drag you out and I'm going to kill you. We're not doing that. This country is built on a document that sits behind a bulletproof glass in the archives. That document says you don't get to do what you're doing. You don't get to force your will on me and shut my mouth and take away my vote. You don't get to do that. And if you try to do that, I have the authorization from that piece of paper and that guy on high to protect my rights. That's what I have. What do you have in your back pocket? Tyrant? Oppressor? Do you have a permission slip that says you have the permission to do what you're doing? You don't, but I do. You keep pushing. We're coming for you. We're not afraid of you. There's more of us than there are of you. We know where you are. We know where you live. You want to play this game? You want to keep pushing our lives this way and that way? We're ready for you. When the lights go out and things go sideways, we're coming for you and yours first. I'm not worried about getting anything to eat. I've got that taken care of. I'm not worried about tomorrow or the next day. Got that taken care of. I'm coming for you. The rules have changed now. There are no rules. And when there's no rules and no accountability, and I don't have to worry about Sheriff Tom looking over my shoulder, looking over my shoulder for Sheriff Tom the rest of my life, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go out and dish out some goddamn accountability. See, I'm dying. My wife is dying. I have nothing left to lose. You can't take anything from me. All you can do is harm my family, and that'll get you killed too. This is the new world we live in. Folks, when Sean Ryan and Tucker Carlson sat down in that room and had that conversation, they knew exactly what they were doing. They know the role they're playing in history. Podcasts are our new meeting halls. That's how we get together to find each other. The technology has changed, but the language hasn't. Now, they'll say that, well, you're making threats. I'm not making threats. I'm warning you. For example, you come over here and burn my house down. You burn my house down. You burn it down, and you're in the front lawn, and I see you with a lighter in your hand. I'm killing you. I'm going to kill you. You've destroyed everything in my life. I'm going to kill you right then. I don't care what the consequences are. You see, but you have to do something first. You have to take action first. I'm telling you what the consequences are going to be. I'm telling you what they are. My dad said the worst thing about raising me was that I couldn't be disciplined. I was willing to take the beating. What are you going to do with somebody when they're willing to take the punishment? Remember the father who was standing in the airport at the phone booth? You've seen this video, right? It's been all over the internet. This is back in the 70s. News crews there. Walking in, there's a dude walking in. He had molested and killed this other man's son. And the father stood at the phone booth on the phone, hiding from everybody else. And when the young man walked by, he pulled out the gun and blew his fucking brains out. What are you going to do with somebody like that doesn't care what the beating is, doesn't care that you're going to put him in prison the rest of their life? How do you protect yourself from that person? Well, you can't. You can't protect yourself from that person any more than you can protect yourself from a terrorist. Somebody who's decided that you're going to be their victim. It's done. Our politicians need to learn that they are not safe because of their positions. This country was built on revolution. I want to say it again. We're not threatening anybody. We're giving you a warning. You have the opportunity to reset it for the people, but you're not doing that. You're so in the system, you cannot see it. You're in your bubble, you cannot see it. You have no idea you're this close to being dragged out of your homes, folks. Do you see what's going on in France? Do you see what's going on in Great Britain? Do you see what's going on in other nations around the planet? Did you see what just happened in Nepal? The president's wife was killed in a revolution. From beginning to end. It started. 7 days later, it was done. They had a whole new government. By the way, it was a color revolution. The CIA did that bullshit. There was no way those kids had a voting system in place and ready to go. This was a test. Eric Swalwell said that he wants to start voting by phone. Guess how they voted everybody in Nepal? Folks, I want you to understand that they are moving forward. We've got one more election in this nation. 24 wasn't it, it's 26. 28 is going to be a shit show if we ever get to that. I don't think we will. I think things have to fall apart before 2028. But they gotta really create some mayhem in 2026. They gotta muddy everything up, and it's not, folks, it's not to meet an end. It's a distraction. The end is already planned. They know what they're going to do. They know what date they're going to do it on. They've got it planned. You are not going to stop it. I'm not going to stop it at this point unless we start yelling at the people who control the things that can stop it. Why are Democrats working so hard to allow drugs to come into our country? Oh, that's not fentanyl on those boats coming out of Venezuela. It's just coke. And the majority of it is not coming to the United States. It's going to Europe. Do you understand how fucking stupid you are? This is the 5D chess bullshit I'm talking about. When they talk about Trump playing 5D chess, this is a 5D chess move. Why do you think that Trump is fucking with the drug dealers in Venezuela that are delivering drugs to Europe? He's crippling them. Every line of income that they make, he's killing. All the elite, are losing all their big ways of making money. You see, the elite don't do everything on the up and up. A lot of the elite are funded by the most criminal activity on the face of the earth. That's why they can't release all that bullshit with Epstein and so on. Because it's all intertwined. The drug people are selling kids too. It's all the same people, folks. There's not one group of people doing this and another group of people doing this. No. They're trying to make as much money as they can. They've made themselves into corporations for all intents and purposes. What do you need? Well, you got everything, baby. You think that it's going to get better by keeping quiet? No, you got to start speaking in the language of our founding fathers. We got to start. Now, you can't make threats against people. You can't come, I'm going to kill you. You can't do that. What you've got to let them know is that there's going to come a point where they're going to make a decision that's going to affect your life to the point where you no longer care what happens to you. I have nothing left to lose. That is the most dangerous person on the face of the earth. And do you know who is even more dangerous than that? The person who has nothing left to lose and only wanted to be left alone. Just wanted to be left alone, and you wouldn't leave him alone. You kept fucking poking. Got a whole group of people in this nation that are about to get woken up. They're going to get a wake-up call. They're not going to like it. Up next, Ivan Raiklin. We'll talk to him about what's going on. That's next.
The CramerSez Project will return
after this important message.
Introducing Tusk.
With Tusk, you get uncensored news and secure browsing,
all while protecting your privacy.
Choose the news you trust and take control of your internet.
Join the free speech revolution with Tusk.
Download Tusk today at tuskbrowser.com.
Did you know the Biden administration gave your tax dollars to illegal aliens so they could afford to lobby Congress to go easy on illegal immigration?
That's not the way I'd put it, but it's basically accurate.
New questions swirling around a Soros-funded nonprofit that claims to support immigrant rights, but may be violating federal tax law. Alianza Americas received millions of taxpayer dollars from the Biden administration. Now the group stands accused of using those funds to lobby Congress to expand protections for illegal immigrants.
Well, we caught them. The name of the group is Alianza Americas, and it's an open borders group. They were illegally lobbying Congress, trying to protect illegal aliens from having to leave the country under something called temporary protected status. They received taxpayer money, millions of dollars from the Department of Health and Human Services. They also receive quite a lot of money from the Open Society Foundations. That's George Soros' foundations. Over the last couple weeks, they've been pouring kerosene on the flames out in Los Angeles, calling President Trump an authoritarian and alleging that the law enforcement personnel have been engaged in violent attacks on peaceful protesters, when we know it's quite the opposite. This group has broken the law. On their annual tax return, they say they never lobbied Congress, but we know that they have. We have the proof, and we've presented it to the Internal Revenue Service, and we hope and believe the IRS should act on them and review the tax status of this open borders group.
It's for these reasons the National Legal and Policy Center has filed 2 complaints with the IRS, alleging the group broke the rules that govern tax-exempt status and should, for that reason, lose all taxpayer funding. So, what are your thoughts? Do you really want your tax dollars handed over to illegals so they can afford to lobby your elected officials? You know, to be more lenient when it comes to their illegal immigration status?
I wouldn't have put it exactly that way, but unfortunately, it is accurate.
Let us know what you think in the comments, and visit nlpc.org for more information on this story and more.
To learn more about the CramerSez Project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it,
Please visit thecramersezproject.com.
You're watching CramerSez.
Welcome back to the show. My name is Kramer. Up next, we'll be talking to Ivan Raiklin. In the meantime, don't forget to go over to thecramersezproject.com and check out what we're doing. We're trying to create a brand new type of news service, and we want you to be a part of it. Do it at thecramersezproject.com. Now to our guest for this evening. Ivan Raiklin is a D.C. attorney. He's a J6 defender. In the old days, they would have called him a rapscallion. Today, we call him a patriot. Welcome to the show, Ivan. Can't wait to get into your brain and find out what you've got to say about what's going on in D.C.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here. So let's get into it. For those of my audience that may not know who you are, catch them up, and then let's start talking about what's going on in D.C. today.
Catch them up on what? I mean, what do you want me to talk about?
Well, where are you doing? I mean, you've been defending J6 defendants. How did you get into that? Why did you do that? And before that, what were you doing prior, so that we kind of get a setting of where you are and why what you're saying next is so important.
All right, so a little bit about my bio. The last quarter of a century I spent in the national security arena. I was kind of probably one of the few people that was bi-coastal and also dual-hatted. So on the East Coast, my last assignment was an instructor in the national security ecosystem, teaching intel, analysis, etc. After capping off a military career in intel special operations, and when I didn't serve on active duty during that period of time, I was also picked up a law degree, did law, constitutional law, national security law. And so when I observed what happened to General Flynn in 2017, I started to dig. And as I started to dig, I realized I've identified the deep state by name, date, place, and transgression going back to 2014, the last 11 years now. And that fast forwards to the 2020 legal election, the COVID con that predated it in order to create the illegal election, and then the January 6th Fedsurrection to cover up that. Basically, it's an arc of treason that goes back to 2014 when the auto pen started its auto pardonings. And then from there on, I can probably name you 1,600 individuals by name, date, place, transgression, using the critical thinking, analytic tools, and methodologies that I used to teach. And on the West Coast, as a reservist, when I was doing that instruction, I was a technology scout on behalf of the Army, looking at AI, mixed reality, gaming, tech startups in that ecosystem to see if they wanted to provide their capability to the Army, DoD, and broader national security ecosystem. So in essence, I have an understanding, knowledge, network experience, and ability to tap in through my own networks, right, of both the big tech ecosystem, if you will, as well as on the East Coast, the national security intel community. And based on that, I mean, I'm just trying to be not only the Secretary of Retribution and the deep state marauder, but it's effectively a guidance counselor to any administration in order to reject and repel tyranny. And if that administration is not going to participate, then I have to use other means and methods, legally, morally, and ethically, to motivate those that are in the system to position themselves to stop the belligerent, blatant, corrupt nature of most of government.
I saw you on a podcast a couple of days ago. It came across my feed with you and the Hodge twins talking about what's going on with Tina Peters. And I don't think the American people understand how dangerous what's going on with her is. Can you explain that and what her situation is currently?
Yeah, Tina Peters is essentially, if she stays in there, she's going to die. And I argue that, you know, President Trump just made a statement yesterday, and he sent out 3, 4, or 5 truth posts. I mean, it's one thing to do it when you're not the president or you're in exile as the president, essentially to be an influencer, if you will. It's another thing to actually hold the position of executive authority as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, the chief law enforcement official. So rather than just saying things are bad and that Governor Jared Polis is bad and weak and effective, well, Jared Polis, the governor, is so weak and ineffectual that he's able to snub his nose, laugh in the president's face, and then continue to hold hostage a political prisoner of war in captivity, albeit she's still rotting there. I mean, it's been over a year of rotting, and all it requires is a little bit of courage and focus. And if our president, I would immediately have a meeting with my attorney general to also have in that room really, if only a few people, the attorney general, the director of the federal marshals, and essentially say, in this instance, it would be Pam Bondi and Gadyasis Saralta. He goes by Gaddy. And I'll say, Gaddy and Pam, it's time. So this insurrectionist, lawless, and belligerent Colorado Jenna Griswold, Jared Polis, stole the 2020 election through, and then effectively criminalized the one clerk in the nation in Colorado and Mesa County that would expose that corrupt, illegal election. Furthermore, Jenna Griswold, the Secretary of State, used her position to block a qualified candidate, or attempted to, from appearing on the ballot in Colorado to create the domino effect in Maine and other states to try to block candidate Trump at the time from appearing on the ballot. We've already seen all the evidence. There's no more moving of the court of public opinion.
Yep.
It's essentially time to say, you know what? Enough of being cowards. Enough of being toxic, feckless, stone cold, gutless coward simps in the light of Mike Pence, and actually say, you know what? It's time to move. So if we don't move, her blood is on my hands. If I were the president, I would say that Tina Peters' blood will be on my hands. So rather than seeing that, and rather than seeing her demise, I want to go ahead and criminally charge with the U.S. Attorney for the District of Colorado, which would be the fourth person in the meeting, and say, go ahead and move with all the evidence you have to criminalize Jenna Griswold, Jared, and the entire ecosystem in Colorado, and do a prisoner swap. And how that prisoner swap would look is that Jenna Griswold, she wouldn't be indicted. She would be arrested with the indictment, placed in prison along with her co-conspirators. Meanwhile, she would be placed into the same current solitary confinement jail cell as Tina Peters, as I order the 4,000 federal marshals to go ahead and at 2 or 3 in the morning this evening to go ahead and raid and extract federal witness to the Jenna Griswold
100%
federal crimes.
Yep.
So that she can work with Kurt Olson, the 2020 exposure election czar, if you will, for the president, and then work at the White House with Kurt Olson as she provides all the evidence and organizes it for the upcoming trial against Jenna Griswold and all of her co-conspirators. Again, it requires physical action, not pardons, not truth posts, not tweets, not press conferences. It requires Gadyasis Serralta to be ordered by the Attorney General, and that Attorney General must be motivated by the President for this action to take place. Short of that, I don't see her getting out.
Yeah,
I'd love for her to get out, but short of that, I don't see it happening.
Well, and that's what I think is happening across the nation is people, you're starting to hear it, I'm sure, is that we're almost 2 years into this administration, and we have not seen any measurable efforts taken towards 2020. How are we going to get in? We didn't trust 2024 going into it, and luckily we came out of it, but there's no way. In power now, why aren't we doing more about this, Ivan? Why aren't we seeing action, real action, instead of the post and everything? Because Americans are done.
Well, I don't believe the new woke slimes, nor do I believe in Vanity Fair. They just did a couple of hit pieces on the chief of staff of the White House, Susie Wiles. But if any of that is true, which I can't consider it truthful because these are the disinformation purveyors, scumbags last yesteryear that have lied about everything. But even if 1% of it's true, I mean, let's just say 100% of it's false. At the end of the day, it's Susie Wiles, if you're listening in. Tina Peters is still rotting in jail, okay?
Yep.
That's a fact. The Oath Keepers and Proud Boys that were nonviolent, that you advocated to pardon supposedly, are still not pardoned. There's 8 Oath Keepers and 4 Proud Boys, okay? They're not pardoned. There's a Shane Lamond, D.C. Metro police officer, that was the head of Intel on January 6th, and the 6 years prior to that, he is currently rotting in prison because he was going to be called as a witness by the Proud Boys in their trial, but instead he didn't ask to be a witness. He was placed on a witness list, and for that the Democrats went ahead and weaponized against him, afraid that he would disrupt the narrative of the insurrection. This guy's rotting in jail. Meanwhile, if he was pardoned, he would be available to Barry Loudermilk's new subcommittee to expose the District of Columbia's role in Nancy Pelosi's Fedsurrection. That guy's rotting. I mean, these are simple wins. You want to get people like me back on board and actually complimenting you, Susie Wiles, President Trump?
That's right.
You got to do those simple things.
Yep. It doesn't take much, and that's what we've been screaming. You know, we're not seeing the indictments. We're not seeing the perp walks. We're not seeing the arrest. We're not seeing what we were promised.
I'm talking about baseline day one promises. What happened to Liberation Day, January 20th? Tina
100%.
Peters sure didn't get Liberation Day. Shane Lamont sure doesn't feel like he's liberated. The Oath Keepers and Proud Boys aren't liberated. Meanwhile, what happens when you liberate them? You have another 13, 14 voices maximally exposing Democrats in a way that it's going to be so emotionally charged because they're going to be free to speak and tell their story as you start to gain momentum and empathy for the Republican cause or the conservative cause. But guess what? Somebody in the mix, and I think I've already mentioned one of the names, is probably just not focusing in on that because let's face it, $600 million was donated to President Trump and his campaign by none other than a Miriam Adelson, who essentially, I argue that Susie Wiles is her liaison for Trump. Okay. And so I get it. You want to focus on Miriam Adelson's policies of, aiding all these foreign, lines of effort. How about you just spend 1% of your time, I'm talking about this White House, to go ahead and free Americans? Okay, I get it. You're focused on foreign and you're focused on the Nobel Peace Prize. Can't we do both? I mean, can you give us some breadcrumbs here?
100%. I'm with you 100%. Ivan, I've been screaming it from the roofs. I think that we're at the edge. I think that we've got way too many people that are locked up and way too many people who aren't, that should be. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about the deep state, Comey, Brennan, and the rest of that.
Yeah,
because I think that's where Americans really want to get into. What happens next? We'll be right back after this.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views.
CramerSez returns after this message from our partners.
To learn more about the CramerSez Project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it,
Please visit thecramersezproject.com.
You're watching CramerSez.
Welcome back. Our guest tonight is Ivan Raiklin. Ivan is a D.C. attorney and J6 defender, and we're going to break into real quickly here some of the things going on in D.C. It looks like he has to go, but we're going to break in real quick and see if we can get a couple questions. Ivan, before you go here, I know you're busy. You just said you had a call that you got to take. Let's jump in real quick. Where are we with Brennan, Clapper, Comey, and the rest of them? Do you see anything happening within the next 2 years that's going to bring a smile to our face, or is it more status quo?
So Brennan still hasn't been even charged, let alone arrested. He's still out there freely treasoning and coordinating with his incoming protege, who's going to be the governor of Virginia on January 17th. She's going to be sworn in, along with her dangerous attorney general, Jay Jones, who was some of his text messages that were leaked during the campaign cycle last year or this year. He was advocating for the slaughter of his political opponent, the former Republican Speaker of the House in Virginia, and his children. And then, so that's probably going to facilitate and allow the Virginia Democrats to escalate their lawfare up to and including political assassinations that we saw the last couple of years. I mean, nothing's going to stop them at this point. They're going to take what Letitia James and Alvin Bragg and Fannie Willis and Jack Smith were trying to do over the last several years and then only escalate and amplify from there. So good luck there, administration that lives or works in Virginia, because guess what? County transgressions and state transgressions are going to be laid at your feet in order for you to be on complete defense so that you can't go after Johnny Boy Brennan or James Comey or Letitia James or James Clapper, or you name the entire government gangster list that Kash Patel made money off of in his book, let alone my 1,500 member deep state target list. I mean, that covers James Comey right there, right? He was, right? You asked about him. James Comey, what happened to him? Wasn't arrested. Letitia James wasn't arrested. Meanwhile, the attorney for John Bolton, James Comey, and for who else? Peekaboo James is Abby Lowell, the same guy that represented the Biden criminal syndicate.
Yep.
Hunter Biden.
Hunter Biden.
This guy's out there freely just conducting business as usual. No, not protecting these traitors, along with Norm Myosin and Mark Elias and all these other scum. Meanwhile, this administration is like focused on, let's focus on the traditional politics of 2026 and get the voters out. Get out the vote to vote for the toxic, feckless, stone-cold, coward, gutless simps so that the traitors can continue to treason. It's disgusting. It's despicable. Guess
so
what?
When do we do? Ivan, here's the question. You know the question everybody's asking. So what do we do? And what I've been saying is the people that are in there, the people that have caused the problem are never going to be the solution for the problem. And those are no different than the people of 1776 that were in charge.
I'll give you 2 dates. Or actually, I'll give you 4 dates. I already mentioned one. December 19th is in 2 days, on Friday. Guess what? If the Epstein files aren't released by that deadline, expect Pam Bondi and Kash Patel to be impeached and convicted in the Senate. How? Because guess what? The last time I checked 28 days ago, everybody except for Clay Higgins voted for the release in the House, and 100 senators out of 100 senators voted for the release, and President Trump signed off on it. So if the same vote's going to happen in the impeachment to enforce the Epstein files release, guess what? Pam and Kash, pack your stuff. I don't know if this is a family-friendly show.
No, go ahead.
I kept it a little clean there. So next up, December 19th. And you know what? The way they've been treating, the way that Miriam Adelson through Susie Wiles has been treating good old Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey, that impeachment might not end there, if you know what I mean, at Pam and Kash's feet. Let's go up to January 3rd. Right now, the chair of the Capitol Police Board is the Senate Sergeant at Arms, who can go ahead and order the U.S. Capitol Police General Counsel, Thomas DeBias, to release all of his deliberative documents, work product, and communications related to the planning for January 6th, the actions on January 6th, the cover-up of January 6th, and then the weaponization of the legislative branch and the Capitol Police on January 6th. Guess who can order that Senate Sergeant at Arms until that role changes from the Senate Sergeant at Arms over to the House Sergeant at Arms on January 3rd? That individual's name is J.D. Vance in his role as the President of the Senate. So if you or any listener out there has J.D. Vance's contact information, go ahead and send him for the 40th time.
Hit him up.
Plan. That's January 3rd. January 6th, I think that we the people need to consider making sure that Kash's campaign promises are effectuated, meaning FBI needs to be turned into a museum. And that may well be we the people or some good Samaritans out there may put it into a museum. And not only FBI headquarters, where you know what? I'll allow Kash to be the curator, okay? And then Washington field office just down the street, a couple blocks away, that needs to also be a museum. And Dan Bongino, although he's already, he's been mentally on his way out for months out of the FBI because it's so hard for him. It's so difficult to be the FBI deputy director as he cries amidst his vaxxed blood, What can he do? Dan, you can be the curator as well of the Washington field
assistant
office.
curator.
Turn it into a museum. And then lastly, we said January 6th, January 17th. There need to be mass arrests by the time Abby Spanberger becomes the governor of Virginia and Jay Jones becomes the attorney general of Virginia, to include both of them.
Well, just the other day, Trump said that there's more coming. Now, we've heard this before, and we know that he's a
he's been saying that for 5 years.
Yep, that's and my dad was real clear when I was a kid. If people want to do something, they will. If they wanted to, they would, Tim. They just don't want to, and that's where
700 arrests up to this point during the Biden criminal syndicate reign of terror.
Yep. Well, that's what you and I first talked about. When we first met, I had been at January 6th, and when I heard what you were doing, I was going, well, at some point, and then you kind of explained what was going on that, and I don't know if you remember this, but you informed me that there had been no arrest from the Senate side of the House, that if you had come in through the Senate side or something, that there had been no arrest by the Republican-based Senate. And so since that was the side of the building that I remained on the entire time, I was told by a ton of people that kept me safe. But that's ridiculous.
No, there are some... So if you entered the Capitol, that's one thing. If
I did not go into the Capitol at all.
You should have been pretty good, unless you're a political target that can be used to elevate and kind of level up as a political video game to link you to Donald Trump.
Yep.
Meaning, guess what? One of the 8 Proud Boys still not pardoned, who never entered the Capitol, who never committed violence, who never advocated for anything unlawful, a guy by the name of Stuart Rhodes, is still not pardoned, yet he was convicted for 18 years by Nancy Pelosi.
They've got to be held accountable, Ivan. They've got to be held accountable. What do
Shit,
people
all
do?
the impeachment managers, everybody.
I'm going to ask you a question. We've
last one.
We've allowed Washington D.C., the powers that be, to manage things and get us into this situation. They are not fixing the problem. So, in your closing thought, what is the solution? What are we going to have to do in this nation to get this back on track?
There's the quickest solution that I see, and then there's a conventional, unconventional, and then very unconventional, and then there's an unlawful, potentially, if you fail solution. And you alluded to that last one. I like to stay in the legal, moral, ethical, extremely unconventional way. That's doable. So Elon Musk is sitting on Twitter 1.0, communications, documents, etc. He's got dirt on every single member of Congress and their staff in order to be able to say, hey, look at what dirt I have on you based on your Twitter communications and your staff. If you want to play ball with me and doing Doge and decorrupting this government, executive branch, legislative, and judiciary, well, you're going to have to either vote for me as Speaker of the House, Elon could say, or whoever Elon Musk designates to be the Speaker of the House, which leads to the second part of December 19th that I failed to mention. If the impeachment, sequence of events, the Epstein files aren't released, there's a move to impeach. I mean, Marjorie could move on it. Massey could move on impeach. I think Massey would be the one suited to impeach Pam and Cash. Okay.
Yeah.
And all it requires is 4 Republicans to join for the impeachment to be successful. So Massey, Marjorie, and who are some other ones? 2 have already impeached Donald Trump, Dan Newhouse and David Valadao previously. So they survived 2 re-elections. So that's not really an issue for them. But once you get those 4 publicly saying it, then it's going to be an avalanche to impeach everybody. Okay.
Right.
The thing is that if Mike Johnson does not allow that to move forward, which he can, then the next move in the chess game is, this is my closing argument.
Power went off.
Is for, I got auto lights.
That's the sign telling us we're done.
Let me finish this.
Go ahead, bud.
If the impeachment is not allowed by Mike Johnson, then he must be removed as the Speaker of the House.
I agree.
To punish him for not enforcing the law, which requires by the 19th the Epstein files release, so that we can see everybody that has been blackmailed. And I'm guessing that some members of the cabinet are going to be ensnared unless they redact and black out. My standard is this. If one letter is redacted in the Epstein files release, I'm calling on the impeachment of Cash, of Pam, and if Mike Johnson doesn't deliver on the impeachment, he must be removed.
I agree 100%. Ivan Raiklin, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you'll come back again, but thank you for being here today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views.
CramerSez returns after this message from our partners.
Franklin D. Roosevelt said,
"In politics, nothing happens by accident. If it happens, you can be sure it was planned that way."
I don't make a habit of quoting FDR, but on this point, he's 100% right, which makes Vice President Vance's comments from last night even more important to pay attention to.
The only way to honor Charlie is to get to the bottom of exactly how this person was radicalized and who else was involved in it.
Hi, I'm Peter Flaherty, chairman of the National Legal and Policy Center. Since 1991, the NLPC has investigated and exposed the high crimes and misdemeanors of politicians and corporate leaders alike. Our mission is about one thing: accountability, not partisanship, just like Vice President Vance was talking about last night.
That is political terrorism, but it's not just the people who are killing the cops. It's not just the people who are engaging in throwing the Molotov cocktails and in the riots. Where was the money coming from? Who was organizing this violent activity? That is not going after Democrats unless, by implication, you're saying every single Democrat is involved in planning political violence.
For the past several years, NLPC is focused on who's funding the violence on our streets and the radicalization of our kids. Oddly, the same names keep popping up. Names like Soros, Hoffman, and Gates. The protests and the riots aren't happening by accident. The violence is not spontaneous. The left strategy is clear. Encourage arson, vandalism, and looting, and then blame the violence on the law enforcement response. The protesters are well-funded and equipped, and the NLPC is digging deep into exposing those responsible for supplying these groups with the masks, shields, and other devices being used to perpetuate violence in the name of social justice. To learn more about our mission or to join it, follow and share us on this social media platform or visit our website, nlpc.org.
To learn more about the CramerSez project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it,
please visit thecramersezproject.com.
You're watching CramerSez.
Okay, we're going to go back to 1776. I want you to put your thinking caps on or your imagination glasses or whatever you wear to go back in time and imagine. What were our founding fathers talking about in 1774 and 1775, folks? What do you think they were saying? What conversations do you think that they were having about their nation at the time? Do you think that they were worried about what the redcoats were saying about them? Do you think that they were worried about what the newspapers at the time were calling them? Oh yeah, that was quite the thing. You see, you think that things have changed. They haven't. If you go back and read the newspapers of the day, the postings of the day. Now, instead of making a post on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, you made it on a tree. You literally posted your shit on a tree, and people would come along and read it. That's how they got the news. Or on a door or on a board. That's how they spread the news. That's how they sold their wares. Nothing's changed, folks. Nothing's changed at all. They want you to think it has, but it hasn't. So when the men of the day got together and they wanted to discuss what was the most important issues of the day, in their time, 1774, 1775, what kind of conversations do you think that they were having? What were they saying to each other? More importantly, what kind of comments were they making about what they were willing to do? The sacrifices that they were willing to make next. What were they talking about? Were they talking about football games, baseball games, basketball? Were they concerned with the Candace and the Erica of the day were doing? Or what Nick Fuentes said, or the fact that Tucker did this, or Sean Ryan did this? None of that. They weren't thinking about any of that. They were thinking about freedom, liberty, and their rights. And what they were going to have to do to get them. Now, the difference is, you've already got them. You're fucking lazy. You've got your rights. But you're too worried about the status quo. You're thinking that it'll get better. It will not get better. Do you know how I know? Because the new founding fathers are having the same conversations as the old founding fathers. We're gathering online instead of in pubs. We're not going to meeting halls. We're having podcasts and seminars. Things haven't changed, folks. You got to look at things for the way they are. We're hearing more and more of the same chant. Civil war or revolution is coming. And for one simple reason. Because the powers that be will not step down and realize that they are on a razor's edge in this country. I don't know about the rest of the planet. This country isn't going to do what they're going to be told to do. We learned our lesson in 2020. First time, Shane, you fooled me, you got me. The second time, you ain't going to get me anymore. I think that's a quote of George Bush, exactly. Folks, it's not a laughing matter, but that's the way that Americans seem to be able to face adversity. Doesn't matter what they're promising, they can't deliver. Doesn't matter what they say tomorrow is going to be, they can't deliver. Everything that they're doing is just trying to survive. My message tonight has been simple. The founding fathers of this new world are starting to have conversations. Will they win? Will they actually be founding fathers? Will they retain our rights? Will we be able to fight through this? You better start thinking seriously about these questions. Not just me and you and a bunch of crazies having conversations online on YouTube and getting banned for saying things you're not supposed to say, talking about elections and how they're rigged. That should have been the first sign that it was time to go. People thought it would get better. Folks, they haven't fixed the 2020 election, and we're going into the 2026. There's no incentive for them to change. The status quo is fine with the things the way that they are right now. Did you see what happened in Indiana? No, not going to redistrict, not going to support the Republican Party, not going to save this nation from the Democrats. No, we're too worried about our seats, our committee seats. That's what it came down to, power. You think things are going to change? You think things are going to get better? They're not working for what's in your best interest. They will always work for what's in the best interest of them, their donors, their friends, and their family. So I want you to think about this again. What kind of conversations do you think the founding fathers were having right before they said, we're done doing this bullshit anymore? We're not playing this game by the rules that you've got us playing by. What kind of conversations do you think that they had? I'd only have to imagine they sounded something like this.
Come on, dude. We're moving toward one of two endpoints. One is a totalitarian society where you just don't have the option of disagreeing. You have to obey because you've got programmable digital currency and universal surveillance, and you just have to do what they say or they'll starve you to death.
It's not going to work here.
I hope it. I pray it doesn't.
It's not going to work.
We're going to have a revolution. It's one of the two. We're getting totalitarian government or revolution.
It's going to work for a little bit, and then it's not going to work anymore.
I pray you're right. I'm a gold buyer on that basis, an ammo buyer. But again, I have no track record of seeing the future, but I'm convinced that the current course won't work because it's a lie. If you tell people they own the government, they're in charge, they rule through the representatives in this democratic republic, that's what we've told, that's our system. Has been for 250 years. If you tell them that's the system and you don't deliver on it, they go crazy. They go totally crazy. If you tell them, by the way, I've spent a lot of time in
What do you think happens when a government takes everybody's currency in a country that has more fucking guns and ammunition than anywhere else in the entire world?
I mean, as I've said a million times,
it works for a little bit. And then when the desperation kicks in, that shit doesn't fucking work.
Well, so that's exactly, we're saying the same thing. We're moving toward totalitarianism or revolution, violent revolution. By the way, if you tell people they can't say what they think and their vote doesn't matter, how many options have you left for them? Just one. Violence.
Very fucking many.
That's right. So don't do that. Don't do that. It's much better to give a little. And you do this with your kids. You know, especially when they become teenagers, you reach a point where it's like, you can smell the defiance on them. How do I handle this? Just punch them in the face? Cut them off? Starve them out? No. You know, you listen. You make it clear that you're in charge. You'll be deciding. But you take their position into consideration because you have to, because they're becoming adults. You have to be a little flexible. No, you can't smoke weed at the breakfast table. Like, there's some things you will never accept. But you can't ignore every single signal you're getting from your children. Well, your population's very similar.
I'm getting really angry right now.
Why?
I think we should go. I think we should go out back and blow some shit.
Sorry.
Where do we go from here? So,
well, it's always darkest before it's completely black, as you know. Sorry, I'm stealing someone else's line, but I do like that line. I don't know. I mean, clearly just in political terms, we're at the end of something and the beginning of something new. And no one wants change. I don't, but we're not in control. And the current system clearly doesn't match the moment at all. And so it's changing. And it'll change along probably predictable lines, but also in some unpredictable ways. But I'm for democracy. Most people are not. The overwhelming majority of people don't want democracy. They just don't want it. They don't like it. It's tedious and annoying and too imperfect, and they want results. And so we're moving towards something that is not what we had before. And, you know, I'm not in favor of that. I wish we could return to 1985, but we can't. So But you have to just reduce the amount of lying. Like, lying is bad. Lying is bad. It alienates you from other people. It alienates our leaders from their people they lead. Everything about it is bad. Just no more. Let's just stop lying.
Thank you for watching Kramer Says Live.
This concludes this broadcast.
Please follow, like, and subscribe to be notified the next time
The CramerSez Project goes live.